Gloria Victis is a low fantasy, medieval based, massively multiplayer online RPG that combines skill based combat, a 3 realm world war, and open world PvP where you can loot your enemies. I would best describe this game as somewhere between Albion Online and Mortal Online 2, with a little bit of Dark Age of Camelot thrown in there. Being a sandbox, you can decide to gather ore, craft weaponry, fish, farm, or become a warrior fighting for your realm. On paper, this is everything I could ever want in a game. However, is it actually good? I'm Strider the Champ, and in today's video, I'm going to help you decide if Gloria Victis is worth both your time and money. If you enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe. After picking a home nation, designing a character, and answering a bunch of questions to help determine your best starting class, you'll enter the world of Gloria Victis. You start in your nation's safe zone, meaning you cannot be killed by other players. Here you'll begin on the story quest, which is designed to teach you the core mechanics of the game. Combat and blocking is done in a directional system similar to the Mount and Blade series, and don't worry, I will dedicate an entire section of this video to combat. You'll learn how to use siege equipment, harvest plants, and collect the eggs from chicken coops. As you participate in the tutorial, you'll gain experience, which allows you to increase your base statistics like strength or constitution, and also increase your ranking in the skill tree. And the skill tree is where your character's identity will really begin to show as you specialize in damage, archery, or even mounted combat. There is an incredible amount of build diversity in this game. While completing actions such as combat, you'll also earn experience based on the weapon or tier of item you're using. So to level up an axe, you kill things with an axe. Players familiar with Albion Online or New World will be very familiar with this type of system. Now, while the tutorial quests were informative, I will say they dragged on for way too long. Expect to take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours to complete the initial quests, which will bring you up to around level 50. I also found the questing to be a bit monotonous. It was just repetitive and boring. I gathered hemp and wood many times, and as a longtime gamer, I really don't need to be taught how to hit my E key next to a tree 10 times. I also read the first quest, and let's just say the story quality, it doesn't compare to Robert Jordan. I honestly just skipped through the rest of the dialogue. I feel like a lot of people will make a decision on if they want to continue playing during the tutorial quests, and I encourage everyone to force their way through it because the game opens up a lot once you actually enter the open world. The main portion of the game takes place in an open, contested world. Once you depart the safety of your nation's home zone, you'll be in an experience similar in theory to Amazon's New World. I think you'll notice a stark contrast in graphical quality, however. You'd venture around, defeating monsters, gathering resources, and hunting treasure. There will even be PvE events that pop up and become available regularly. However, I think the real appeal of Gloria Victis will be the faction war being waged 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you look at the map, it's similar to Cyrodiil in Elder Scrolls Online, where 3 factions fight over castles, land, and resources. The most fun I had in Gloria Victis, by far, was fighting in a castle siege with my realm mates. From catapults shooting the doors to having enemies try to douse me with boiling oil, everything you would expect to be in a medieval siege is there. These large-scale open-world battles, in my opinion, is the main reason to be interested in Gloria Victis. Now, I mentioned the large-scale battles, but now let's talk a little about the combat system. The game is designed around a directional combat system where player skill matters more than pure character statistics and gear. An experienced player with low-tier gear should kill a noob that is geared to the teeth. Skill-based medieval combat is basically what my entire YouTube channel is about, and if you're expecting chivalry or Mordhau, let me just say up front that the combat is nowhere near those games. I actually strongly dislike directional combat systems in general. Direct inputs are just so much better, and I think this game will always struggle in the fact that the combat it feels clunky and somewhat unresponsive. Now, I stand firmly behind the opinion both Mount and Blade and Kingdom Come Deliverance have bad combat systems. However, they are two of my favorite games because everything else is so good, I can overlook the combat. I think anyone looking at Gloria Victis will have to decide if the epic open world PvP sieges are worth overlooking the combat. I will, however, say the combat here is better than this game's competitor, Mortal Online 2, which might be the most dogshit game I've ever played. While Gloria Victis promises and actually implemented many amazing sounding systems and features, be prepared for a very indie feeling game, and by indie, I mean kind of clunky. Everything from just gathering resources, fighting enemies, and even riding a horse, it feels clunky. Even when I finally figured out the game had a first-person mode, this also felt off and half-baked, as my character's arms would clip invisible every time I moved. Even the mobs and quests, like, they barely move or roam around. Things just feel like they were put on the world, but I definitely don't feel like I'm in a living world, if that makes any sense. Despite these feelings, I'm actually impressed that a small indie team was able to complete a game of this scale and deliver all the promised features. As I said, on paper, this sounds like the greatest game that could ever be created for me, and I would love to see what a large studio could do with a game similar to this. As far as I know, this is the first Kickstarted MMO game to actually be completed and functional, so big shout out to the developers. Despite my feelings on the overall just clunkiness of the game, I do plan on continuing to rotate this in my gaming schedule because I enjoyed the large-scale battles and just the randomness of open-world PvP so much. I'm also a massive fan of anything medieval. Now, I don't like to give out numbers too much, but if you're a player that's only interested in MMO games and you've spent your gaming career on WoW or Guild Wars 2, this will probably feel like a 5 out of 10 game. However, if you're someone who lives and breathes medieval gaming, I think this rating might increase to a more respectable 6 or 7, and I think there's some real enjoyment that can be found in adventuring in Gloria Victis and their open world, especially with the PvP and castle sieges.